More than 40 witnesses already taking the stand in the Jason Van Dyke trial, and now we're in the final moments. Any day, any minute now, we could find out Jason Van Dyke's fate in the shooting death of Laquan McDonald. I'm here with Xavier Pope to break this all down for us, some more analysis on the legal side of things. So, Xavier, closing arguments were yesterday. How big of a factor are closing arguments when it comes down to a case like this?
Closing arguments can be big. It encapsulates what testimony that jurors have heard and use their recollection of the witness testimony when they're in jury deliberations to determine what type of verdict they'll come into.
No doubt. How do you think is it going to impact the jury from what you heard yesterday?
Yeah, I think the prosecution painted a pretty solid case in terms of pointing out some inconsistencies with Joseph Walsh, Jason Van Dyke's partner, in terms of his position being a little bit different from what was displayed by the defense and also by Jason Van Dyke's testimony and the 3D rendering that the defense tried to use in the defense.
I want to flash up on the screen this graphic right now of what Jason Van Dyke is looking at in terms of the charges. First-degree murder an option, could also do second-degree murder and also the aggravated battery. Which one of those, if any, do you think he could possibly face?
I don't necessarily want to predict which charge he could potentially face, because I'm not in the jury room. But the jurors have to consider first-degree murder. If Jason Van Dyke was not justified in his shooting, which in the closing arguments of the prosecution, they discussed in terms of him mentioning to a psychologist that interviewed him that he was going to shoot Laquan McDonald before then. Then the second degree, if he was justified, but his justification was not reasonable, then they consider second degree murder, and then aggravated assault in terms of shooting him with his weapon.
Okay, we're going to be definitely keeping an eye on this one. We're going to be inside the courtroom today on Verdict Watch, and if we do hear a verdict, we're going to be breaking in on social media to get you that announcement. Of course, we're going to have coverage all throughout the weekend on this and into the next week if this does continue through.